talking notes. On the left, I have our desktop PowerPoint app. Um, this is sort of the polls view. We use hash routing because the desktop app um, doesn't use a modern web history API. It might use it now, but when I was working on it, we used HashRoute instead for backwards compatibility. This is sort of the poll creation wizard. It's made of a lot of components you can import individually. They're node module components. It's styled for an 800 by 600 window, but this is actually the second use for these set of components. This wizard, it was mainly designed for the web. So this is how it looks in the web. This is sort of your dashboard. You got your polls. I did not create these. This is actually separate code than the desktop code. So I made this guy like it's one of my first projects 2 years ago. And this is sort of a desktop version with more functionality. Mine was supposed to be a stripped down version. And a lot of this code was originally in templates, like HTML templates. So it's difficult to componentize into the desktop PowerPoint project. But let's go to the one of the later things I worked on at Poll Everywhere. This set of poll types right here, this is a component, and you just load a JSON file full of images or SVGs or links to images. And when you click it, it sends out a signal, and you can take that signal and do whatever you want with it. So in this sort of wizard, when you click on these buttons, it might return multiple choice, word cloud, Q&A onto like a event listener system. And then we would render these individual editors. This is the multiple choice editor. This is actually a separate title component. I forgot why we had that. It has individual multiple choice option components wrapped into a... these are separate components. This is a separate title component. And the container for this middle editor is a component itself. This is a drop-down selector component. And this entire wizard is also a component that we reuse in our PowerPoint app that I mostly built. Our original PowerPoint app was native PowerPoint menus. It was just dashes and lines and words. So I'm basically responsible for hijacking an old app, gutting it, and repurposing it towards something that's more colorful and friendly and web-based in technology. So back to the web version. Let's see. This is also a version of the picker. And these components I'm talking about are the ones that I personally worked on. There's a lot of cool stuff in this wizard that I only paired on or helped with, but I wasn't primarily the developer on it. This is this is image selector for the clickable image poll creator. This picker is the same thing that is this picker up here as the same component. So I think we abstracted that pretty well. This is a survey. So a survey is sort of an activity where you can nest these other components like the multiple choice, like the word cloud, the free text poll, open-ended, or clickable image. You can create these in the survey. So you want a clickable image here. You can upload ones from your desktop, open in text, How do you feel about Italian food? Haven't had that in a while. Multiple choice, MCP. So this component, the survey component, contains nested components. And all these, whenever you create an error, like let's say, I created a validation system. Backbone has a sort of its own like validator conventions, but there's a lot of legacy code, and it was difficult to leverage that. So we had to build our own like validating system specific to our product and within the legacy code. But they all propagate nicely if you look through the code comments and follow the comments and the Kodo documentation that's produced from them. If you follow that format, the error should propagate pretty well. This wizard is encapsulated, so it has to speak to this web page to a separate notification component. That was a separate notification component. I did not work on that, but I had to wire them together. So making sure all these errors propagate correctly and none of them get lost is something I had to work out. These cool little drop-down menus are cool. The model behind them, it's like a pole switcher. We call that like pole transformer, but it pretty much we have these different models that represent these different poles, and we created this cool thing where the model, you can create a pole transformer which encompasses all the pole models, and it kind of transforms into it once you select it. Like internally, it suddenly becomes that model, and all the listening events and error events just like wire appropriately. It's pretty neat. So this little drop-down menu is totally separate from the editor it creates. Yeah, this wizard is just like a bunch of nested components, a bunch of sibling components, and documentation. It seems logical. It seems it has conventions, and I think when people go through the documentation, it makes sense if they want to build upon or add or use these components in other projects. As far as I know right now, this wizard is only used in the desktop app. Let's see. Multiple choice subcomponents, surveys like Russian doll, pole transformer, CSV importer. Okay. How about this guy? Under like, I really try to get people to pay attention and work with me on the design specs for this guy. It was difficult. Everyone thought it was going to be easy, but there's scope creep. We wanted to have a certain caliber. It became like it's such an unused idea, but over time we just wanted to be more prod ready. We wanted to have it be like a button. I forgot what you call it, but like this is our call to action. This is the main call to action. It's primary citizen, and we want people to import things more because they want to use it, but they don't know how to find it. So, and we wanted to put a button really close to the create. So we had to kind of like add more scope to this project. Doesn't really do much. But you can create polls. I'm just going to download a CSV. I threw that in AWS, Amazon Web Services. I pretty much made the entire functionality for this guy. But you can download a CSV template. So if you have a CSV template, it kind of gives you the format at the bottom of what your CSV should look like. And you can just drag it in. You can push that button or you just drag it, and it should build. It uses, it uses our components here. Builds them out, fills them in. So our creators also can be used as an editor. And then you can, it's cool. It's It daisy chains. It doesn't save all. In order to maintain order, when you create these polls into your dashboard, to maintain the order, we have to like. In the future, it'll probably be different, but we daisy chained them. So after this save comes back, like on success, then we go on to the next poll to save. It's sort of like a. I forget what the other libraries call it, but we iterate over. We iterate, but in an async way. I'm pretty sure Lodash has some tools for that, but I think I implemented it just by hand. It was just simple. No need to throw in a library for like a 10 or 20 line block of code. I think maybe it was a lot less than that. Upload another file. Nope, done. Go back. Okay, what's the next thing? There's a CSV importer. Mobile app remote control. I'll just talk about that. The second month I worked at Poll Everywhere, I worked on a remote control for the mobile app. What it does is, if you're signed into your PowerPoint Poll Everywhere app and you're signed into your mobile phone Poll Everywhere app, and then you like present in PowerPoint, Poll Everywhere will know that you signed in, and it'll send signals to all the apps and let you know that happened. And the mobile app will like, if you click on the remote control, the mobile app will know you're presenting. That's full screen. You're presenting stuff. Your slide has polls, and it will give you a counter. Will give you a counter of what slide you're on in the presentation, the notes on the current slide, and if there's a poll, you can activate it, deactivate it, hide results, and do all these little options that we have specifically for that poll. You can also navigate forward and backward in PowerPoint. Obviously, PowerPoint has a programmatic API for stuff, and I do not write that code. That's the desktop app team, but I worked with them on like what the API should be, and built the website of it. And the routing side in Rails, I use primarily WebSockets. It's the technology we used for the communication there. Let's see, Google Slides. I mean, in addition to those are the main apps that like I really worked on, but like I built like a lot of this stuff in just content pages on this dashboard we have right here. I did little stuff here and there. We have like operating system, aware, links. So if you're on a Mac, you can download the PowerPoint app, Keynote app. But if you're on Windows, it just shows PowerPoint. And I worked on some content pages. Normal bug fixes all around. Let's see. Google Slides. This is a hackathon project. We got a Poll Everywhere menu tab. There's no API for Google Slides. I'll just say that. There's no API to integrate anything with Google Slides. But this is a Chrome extension. We have a Poll Everywhere menu. It works almost exactly like how you expect these menus. It looks very in sync. That was a night. That was a Sunday night work. Make sure this operates exactly how you would expect in the menu. I'm gonna be honest, it took a while. We had no idea this would even work. Google's really good at obscuring the functionality of their web apps. Plus, you can obscure keyboard events, hardware keyboard events, and so we don't have cool stuff like. We could use our mobile app remote control, but we don't have access. But we wouldn't be able to have access to notes because I have no idea how the note system works, and there's no way for me to read keyboard input. This is sort of like content editable div, I think. But this is similar to our PowerPoint and Keynote add-in. Here's the same components, same wizard. You don't see this button. I don't think you saw this button before. It's sort of like aware. It's aware if it's in a slide where app or not, and it decides to show you certain features and buttons. Some more stuff. Oh, these are cool. Yeah, this is from the CSV import earlier. All right. Search. Sometimes the search breaks, so I kind of don't want to show it. Survey. Slightly different format for survey for the desktop. Add in. Yeah. Let's see. Let's make another multiple choice. Boop, boop, boop. Your polls, that's ridiculously large font there. I don't know when that happened. So this is cool. When you present it, I don't know if you can still see this when I went full screen, but there we go. There's our poll. If you went to John Smith 359 right now on the web or texting that to 22333, you could vote on this live. It auto activates. But I'm going to end this video now. Hopefully this video wasn't too graded. I don't do this a lot.